Good evening, North Andover. Here we are at the National Night Out right here at Hayes Stadium. It's a beautiful night. The city has come out in force. We've got great vendors. We've got the fire department, police department. Everybody's here to show some great community support. And we're going to be bringing you lots of different guests this evening, talking about what's going on in their careers, their worlds, and how it affects you right here in North Andover. Lots of contests going on, prizes, food, great family fun. So come on down right now. Plenty of time. We're here till 8 o'clock tonight, so definitely come down with the family. You're going to have a good time. I'm here with my first guest tonight. It's our chief of the fire department chief, Chief Bill, right?
McCarthy,
Bill McCarthy, right? And Bill, it's your first year on the job now, right?
First year as chief,
right.
March 2016. I just completed my first year,
right.
March 2017.
Right. But how many years in total? This is what's impressive.
31 years on the fire department.
31, a lot of experience right here, everybody.
Yeah, so 31 years, 10 years as a firefighter EMT,
Wow.
about 20 years as a lieutenant, a little over a year for the deputy, and then the
That's
current
great.
position, fire chief.
We're very lucky to have you as our chief.
Appreciate it. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, first question that comes to mind, I mean, we have a beautiful new fire department. How's the new home?
It's been working out great.
Yeah.
It's a great location.
It is.
It's a beautiful station for us. Trucks are easy to get in and out.
It's made your job a little easier, yeah.
It made it a little bit easier for the apparatus getting in and out. Plenty of space. It's worked out well. Great training room that we have there, conducting a lot of classes, training classes for the fire department as well as other outside fire departments that come in.
Yeah.
So it's really working out
That's
well.
great. I can imagine you have to keep up on all the different trainings, all the different things that are happening, new technology.
Yeah, we're constantly training. There's, as well as firefighting, there's EMS. All our firefighters are EMTs. They're nationally registered. So we do 12 hours of EMT training monthly for each shift, and as well as firefighting. Each month is something different that we do.
Awesome.
This month we pump operations. Last month was SEPA training. So we keep things scheduled as well as getting out and doing the inspections in town. So if
busy.
not on incidents, we're busy.
It's busy.
You know, keeping up the.
And then you find time to be here, a beautiful night like this.
Beautiful night. This is
yeah. What's the fire department doing here tonight?
It's a national night out
Yeah.
event. It's a national event for the police department. I believe Nottingham Police has been involved in the last 9 years. They've involved us, so we've been up here regularly. Over there, we'll have our fire safety house, our fire education team here,
Right.
telling the people a little bit about fire education.
Yeah. Now, what's in that house? Who goes through that? Is that
So-
like the first and second graders kind of go through that?
Right, so what we do is we have a program, it's called the SAFE program, Student Awareness of Fire Education.
Right.
It's a grant we receive each year through the Department of Fire Services. And what we do is we're able to put firefighters directly in the classrooms.
Right.
And also we have a senior SAFE grant that we go out, we speak with the senior citizens in the town. We get out to some of the complexes and do a little bit of fire safety and some safety in the home.
Fire safety is so critical. You may not know, I'm in the real estate fields. That's what I do. So we're always, when we're buying and selling homes, we have to do the smoke detector
Right.
check.
And there's been a
those
lot of
rules are always
changes. Right.
changing,
There's been a lot of changes to the
Right.
regulations on that. If you are selling your home, obviously you should make contact with the fire department, talk to our fire prevention officer, and make sure that you have the proper smoke detectors and carbon monoxide.
And we'd like to have you do that like weeks or months before
Right,
the home is sold.
right.
Because it always comes down to the wire,
And you
right?
should be doing that regularly. You know, even if you're not selling your house, the recommendation is every 10 years the smoke detectors should be changed in your home. Carbon monoxide detectors should be replaced every 7 years. But the important thing is you have them and you test them. You should be testing these monthly.
You can't imagine how many homes I go into and the smoke detectors I see, they're dated, they're old, they're unplugged, batteries not in them. People just don't take this as serious as they need to, okay? This is your first line of defense in case something goes wrong.
It is.
I'm really big on this, especially with Nicole's law that went into effect, the carbon monoxide rule.
Correct.
And one thing I'd like to share is with these carbons, a lot of people think they're going to put them way up high.
Right.
Isn't it best to put them kind of more down low?
Well, you can have them plugged in. They can be plug-in ones. They can be wall units. You can have a combination unit that would be a smoke and a combination unit. The issue with carbon monoxide, it's odorless, colorless, tasteless.
Right.
It's going to be caused by a fossil fuel, so it's oil burning, gas, coal, wood stoves, your vehicle, if it's running in the garage. The key is that you have them on all levels of your home,
Right.
and they're operating. And you need to test those as well as you test smoke detectors.
Test them. You've got to test them, change those batteries, and now we have the new 10-year lithium batteries that are going to make it even easier for people because they forget to change them.
Right.
And we're taking that off your plate now. So get your detectors updated. Let's move on to a different topic. I want a fun topic: fireworks.
Fireworks.
We had a great
fireworks
display.
were here.
Yeah.
I was actually away, but we're well represented here. We're required to be here for the fireworks.
Right.
The day of the event, once the fireworks arrive in town, we have to have a fire presence here. So we have our fire prevention officer here all day, as well as a couple other firefighters with a fire apparatus. So they're here during the whole event. Once we have the fireworks that night, we bring up a few more of the apparatus here for the event. And
Now, are you guys involved intimately in the planning of the fireworks, like with the company that's doing it? Like you have to.
they have to contact us. They
Yeah.
have to show us, meet all the regulations. I have to approve everything. I have to send it down to the state fire marshal's
Yes,
office.
there's work involved.
So there's work involved. And again, the fencing, the location of where we can have people located. And we work closely with the Public Works. They did a great job of fencing off the area
Yep.
each year in order to have the event here.
Well, I think everyone will agree it was a fantastic display. We actually were right down there, right
Yeah.
behind the sign, and we were like under fire from the debris almost, and
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
incredible. I've actually spent a few 4th of July on the Charles River in a buddy's boat, and that's what it felt like, because when you're on the Charles, you're right underneath the
Right,
fireworks,
right.
and the wind blows it right,
Right.
at you. So what an experience, very loud up front.
Right.
Just to cut real quick, everybody, if you're just joining us, we are down at the stadium, Hay Stadium here, for the National Night Out. It's our 9th annual here in town, but this has been going on for what?
I
40
believe
years,
it started
30 years?
in the 80s.
Started in the 80s, yeah.
And it's probably started in a few cities, and it just
Right.
spread across the country. Similar to Fire Prevention Week,
Right.
Which is always in October, second week in October, Fire Prevention Week, and fire departments all across the country participate in that and have open houses at their stations.
Yeah, it's all
so
good
we'll
stuff.
be doing that again this year.
Perfect. But tonight there's probably about 15,000 communities across the country partaking in what we're doing here tonight in North Andover.
Right.
It's a summertime tradition. Another summertime tradition is grilling, right? Grilling out.
Grilling.
Let's talk a little bit about grill safety.
Yeah, grill safety. You want to make sure if you're grilling with propane that your lines are on tightly. There's no leaks.
Right.
You want to make sure your grill is cleaned properly from the grease. You cannot grill above the first floor decks. You can only grill on a deck if it has a stairway that goes directly to the ground.
Okay.
Any deck that has a roof above it, a balcony or anything like that, it's prohibited from doing that. You want to grill 10 feet away from the structure. It's great. I grill all the time, but you want to make
Gotta be
sure you're
safe.
safe at doing it.
One thing I noted, I had to get a new grill this year. It was only 1 year old when I started it up this summer. Turned on the jets, it's propane, and flame was coming out from the nozzles, like from the regulators, I guess, right? I feel like there's a lot of defective products going out there. A lot of just
anything like
making it
that.
cheap.
Yeah, you want to make sure you shut down the tank. Don't be afraid to call the fire department ever,
Right.
Especially during any type of grilling where there's a flame, propane involved. Always call the fire department, call 911, have a truck come out, make sure that everything's safe.
What does the town have to say, or what if someone wants to have like a fire pit in their backyard or open cooking? Do we have any regulations on that, or how to be safe with that?
So the Department of Fire Service, there's no regulations directly related to a fire pit, other than they are the open burning. So if somebody is burning in a fire pit and the smoke bothers the neighbors, it has to be extinguished. It has to be placed out.
Okay.
You want to make sure that you're burning clean, dry wood. You don't want that next to a structure. You want to have that out in an area where it's safe, away from wooded areas. It's a good idea to have it on a bed of sand or maybe a concrete block. And again, when you're done burning, you make sure it's out properly.
Absolutely.
A lot of people leave it on at night. Wind picks up, and then you can
Embers
have
kick in.
embers kick up. And also, if you have one of those screens that go on top
That's
that
a safer way to do it.
control some of the sparks and things.
People
But it
don't
has
realize.
to be it has to be clean, dry wood.
Yep.
And again, it has to be in an area that's safe.
Safe, good. And just one last point on that. Even though you try to extinguish these fires with water, your hose, you really have to douse it because
Right.
it evaporates that water right away. You
Right.
walk away and you think it's out, but 3
Right.
a.m. in the morning, the wind picks up. All of a
Right.
sudden, it's a fire again.
Right.
So be very careful. Chief, we've taken enough of your time tonight.
Right, appreciate
Thanks
it. Thank you
coming
for
out.
having me. Thank you
All
for
right,
having
yeah,
me.
we'll
Enjoy
have you
your
again.
night.
Thank you so much. Enjoy
Very
this beautiful evening.
Thank you.
Once again, it's our chief of the fire department. It's Bill McCarthy, right?
Bill McCarthy.
Right, and you're here at National Night Out. We're having a great time. We're gonna let Bill enjoy this great night out and see some people, and we're gonna bring our next guest up. We'll be back.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right.
Excellent.
Great job, buddy.
Dad had a Doberman pincher like that. Yeah. Yeah, he had commands like that. Yep.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. Well, you represent part of our district, correct? Or part of our.
I do. So the state senate district includes 7 communities.
Yep.
And it's technically half of North Andover. Senator Tarr and I represent
Yep.
it together.
Yep.
And then it includes all of Haverhill, all of Methuen,
Yep.
the town of Merrimack, Salisbury, Amesbury, Newburyport. It's the New Hampshire
A lot of
border.
people.
Yes. Every state senator is charged with representing about 165,000 residents.
Talk about responsibility. That's a lot of responsibility. But she's got the #1 responsibility here with her tonight. It's her new baby. Baby
That's right.
Ronan, right?
Baby Ronan is here.
Congratulations.
Thank you very
That's
much.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's beautiful, right?
Well, it's a situation where the baby is big and healthy, but we're very sleep deprived.
Very sleep deprived.
Yes.
Yeah. Getting babies on a sleep schedule is super critically important, right?
It is.
And getting all your babies and family and friends out here to National Night Out is super important too. So make sure you're coming down tonight. We're going to be here till 8 o'clock. Lots going on, right? Lots going on down on Capitol Hill, right? And doing all, is it Capitol Hill? But down in Boston and all you do, you just passed up, you got something in the marijuana law where you've made it more safe for children. Talk about that a little bit.
We did have a final push at the end of July on some important legislation. One, folks probably read in the newspaper, the big marijuana bill. So there was a ballot question that the voters supported. Everyone knows I'm on the record as not being a huge fan of the passage of recreational marijuana, but it is what it is. So with that, I wanted to at least make sure that there were some baseline standards to protect children.
Makes sense, right? I mean, absolutely.
And now in the bill, I'm very excited, in the packaging of any marijuana product, whether it's smoked or edible, there's going to be a required mark or label because sometimes kids can't read yet, and that will show them that it is dangerous to their health.
One more thing we have to teach kids about now.
Exactly, unfortunately.
But thank you for doing that, and that's definitely in now. It's passed.
It is. It's
Perfect.
official.
Perfect. And you're also working on something exciting, the hands-free driving bill. Talk about that.
That's true. So it's not my legislation necessarily,
But you're helping it.
the Senate passed it.
Yeah.
And the Senate passed it in the last session as well, but our goal is to get it across the finish line because my understanding is that the House is supportive as well. But we all know that people are looking down, they're looking at their phones when they're driving, and we see cars in and out of lanes.
Weaving all the time.
Absolutely. And
Stop it.
I think that people are just addicted to their phones right now, and it's a huge public safety hazard. So
is.
in New Hampshire, they have a law in the books. It's working. The Massachusetts law is similar, so that you can use your cell phone. It just has to be hands-free, and the technology is available.
Totally available.
For
My car
pennies
has
on
it
the
built
dollar.
in. Most cars have it built in now. Or you can get a little, thing from 1990 in your ear.
That's
By the
right.
way, why did that go out of style? Have you seen those the little earpieces? Right? Remember those?
They were
great. They were so small, easy. Now we have the Halo, and those are more bulky. And
or even traditional headphones people use.
yeah, they're using them now. But I miss my little earbud thing. I thought
And
it
you
was
know
great.
what though? Even cheaper is the adhesive kind of gadget that you stick to the frame of your car.
Yeah, people just kind of
Prop your phone
plop
up
the
there,
phone
put
right
it
in
on
there.
speaker, and that would be within the parameters of the law. So
Are there any numbers on how many accidents we've seen or deaths and losses just from being on the phone or texting? Is that
it's
there
true.
stats on that yet, or
Distracted driving,
thoughts?
there's a huge uptick in accidents, and it actually has a ripple effect because it's causing the cost of insurance to go up too. So if folks are disgruntled because their insurance is going down, up, then they're going to want to support the passage of this bill.
It never goes down.
Well, I'll tell you that fender benders, unfortunately pedestrians being hit, bicyclists, there's a price to pay. And I always say, when you're a conscientious driver and you're doing the right thing, you can see people weaving, but you still don't know what's going on behind you. And that is too much to handle. And it was only, 15 years ago when this wasn't even an issue.
Right.
So we need to get back to that place.
technology is a blessing and a curse, right? It's given us all this great ability to connect and communicate, but also these challenges that our elected officials are helping us to deal with.
So that was another important one. So I'm very much focused on consumer protection, public safety, and then of course May is always when we work on the budget and finish it in July.
Right.
And unfortunately, there's a revenue downfall. So we had over an $800 million budget cap.
Why do you think that's happening? Economy's doing better, right?
Isn't that the truth? So that's what everyone says. The economy is doing really well. I think the difficulty is that when folks are paying their taxes, what we have on the books are too many corporate tax credits with these promises of offering jobs and economic development. So they're not paying taxes at all. So it's not that we're not necessarily getting the revenue that we need, but the stock market goes up and down. We're not going to be able to predict for that. We have to put a certain amount away in a rainy day fund. And here's the kicker. Healthcare is going up, education, infrastructure, human services, the opioid crisis, the needs are exponential. So even if we maintained revenue, we're still not going to be able to do that. So there are really tough choices to make, but it's my position before we go to working families and seniors on fixed income and young people that are trying to afford to live in the Merrimack Valley, we need to circle back and look at the tax breaks we've given to a lot of corporations that haven't necessarily delivered on what they said they would, but those tax breaks are still in the books. And you wouldn't begin to guess that it's not to the tune of millions of dollars in lost revenue for all of our needs, but billions of dollars.
Amazing.
I mean, we have a $40 billion budget approximately. We're not even asking them to contribute billions of dollars, and they're benefiting from our roads, from our infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera.
It's a balancing act because you have to have these companies to provide jobs and to provide services, but yet at the same token, they have to pay the right amount of tax revenue to keep services alive, keep the community going. So it's a complicated process.
It is. People come to
not black and white.
Massachusetts because of the quality of life that we offer, the human services, the education that we offer, but
what you do is difficult, okay? Because it's not black and white, right? There's so many shades of gray of where you're operating in. It's not an easy place to be. So I thank you for doing what you're doing. I don't think I would be doing it, anytime soon. Speaking of which, what's going on in Haverhill with Rep. Dempsey? A great Brian Dempsey from the city of Haverhill decided to retire. That's going to open up a whole world of change, I think.
It's true. I mean, he's been in that role for a long time, and Haverhill has benefited tremendously from that. And he was, up until now, the leader of our Merrimack Valley delegation, so it was a pleasure working with him.
Right.
So whoever has
just a great guy too.
Gig, absolutely. It's a tough business to be in, but I think he brought professionalism, he brought a sense of humor and approachability to it, and those are going to be big shoes to fill and a tough campaign. So I think that the field is becoming more and more crowded by the day.
Every time I turn on Facebook, I see someone else running for his seat or whatever, and I'm like, okay, great, maybe I'll run soon. Who knows? Listen, we've taken enough of your time. You got to get back to Baby Ronan. It's so good to see you again. Yeah, and she's always a great person to contribute to volunteerism in the communities and things like that, like our Dancing with the Stars program for Emmaus and stuff. So it's great seeing you again, and have a great rest of your summer.
Thank you so much.
And keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it. Be well.
Excellent, thank you. We're here again at National Night Out in North Andover, having a great time down at Hayes Stadium. Come on down, bring the family, food, fun, games, activities. North Andover CAM has a great social media challenge happening. You can win a lot of great, fantastic prizes. So we're here till 8 o'clock, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.
Here we go.
Hey everybody, we are back at North Andover National Night Out. This is the 9th year we've been doing this. We're so excited to be here again. And we're down at the stadium, Hayes Stadium actually. The police department's here, fire department's here, tons of vendors, community service groups, North Andover CAM's here. Make sure you come down and see the CAM booth. We have a lot of prizes, giveaways, a social media contest that we're having a lot of fun with. And I'm up here interviewing some great people from our community that's making a difference and making it awesome to live here in North Andover. Tonight I have Dr. Jennifer Price, our school superintendent.
Hello.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, how
are you
are
doing?
Good.
What a beautiful night.
It's a great night here in North Andover.
It's
what
awesome.
a wonderful night that the police department puts on. It's just such a great feel.
Right, we love it. And now, for those who may not know, Jen has been our superintendent for now going on 3 years.
It's my third year. So
third year, how's it going?
So far, so good.
So feeling good about it?
Yeah, we had a really good year this year.
Wonderful.
As many of the viewers probably know, we approved the creation of a kindergarten building, so we're really working on lowering class size. I'm actually looking at the space right now where the new building is going to go right over there.
Right behind us,
and
yeah.
so
Beautiful.
really been making some changes in our schools, I think, for the better. So it's been good.
Well, we're happy to have you. That's
Thanks.
wonderful. Thank you. But it hasn't just been 3 years. You've been in the school system for
Yeah.
how long? We were just talking
So
off camera, maybe 20 years?
Yeah, this is my 20th year in public education.
Amazing.
It seems crazy.
You must have seen so much over the time.
Yeah, I think a few things. I think a lot has stayed the same. I mean, I think one of the things I've learned in public education is that it has to be a partnership with families, that schools can't do it alone. Families need support and help, but schools need support and help. And so all my years in public education, whether it be as a teacher, as a principal, as an assistant principal, as a superintendent, I think we're most successful when we work collaboratively with the schools.
Sounds perfect. If we could make that happen all the time, I'd love
Yep.
to see that happen. I would think, like, it's tough with families, I think, getting involved because everyone's so busy now, right?
Yep.
Both parents are working all the time. It's tough. Like, I know as a dad, I feel sometimes that my daughter's in public school here, and I want to check her homework. I want to be a part of it, but I get home late from work and things like that happen. And I don't get time. But thankfully, she's doing a great job. Over 20 years, you've probably seen many different challenges
Yep.
in the education realm. How's that evolve? Like for example, I'm in real estate. As some of you know, I do real estate. Back in the 70s and 80s, it was lead paint was the big challenge and concern. And then it became radon in the 90s, issues, right?
Right.
And in the 2000s, it was mold, right? Every decade brings a different thing. What are you seeing in your
Yeah, I think that the
your scope of
changes in the
work?
last 20 years have been, there's been a lot around standardization. Like
Standardization.
a lot of testing, how are we making
Yeah.
sure all kids get access to an excellent education? And I think in some respects that's been really good to make sure that, a school is doing well, but like subgroups of kids,
Right.
Kids from low-income families, students of color are not doing well, that you actually look at those groups and make sure that all kids are doing well. The challenge is with this move to kind of standardization and
Is this
testing.
the Common Core thing
the
we're
Common
talking
Core
about?
Stuff,
Yep.
right.
Okay.
That is that you lose some of the creativity of teaching. So if you think back to when you think of that teacher that really made a difference for you, for me it was Mr. Chimurka. He was crazy. He was a history teacher. He used to bring his
Amazing.
Revolutionary War gun into school. Would never be allowed now, right?
Yeah.
So you lose
and I'm too
this,
old to remember back then. So
yeah,
I
right.
don't know.
So you you lose some of that creativity, and so there's this tension in schools between allowing teachers to teach to their passion and creative and
Right.
go in with kids and connect with kids, and making sure that all kids get an equal access to an excellent education, and making sure that there's some consistency in schools, so that many people refer to it as the educational lottery. If you get that second grade teacher, you at least have a similar experience to the other second grade teacher.
Right.
And it's a tension that's played out throughout my entire career, right? I think in the 90s we probably went too far to making sure it was all standardized, and I'm hoping that we're starting to move back to really allowing teachers to have some individuality around what they teach, but ensuring that all kids are getting access to a strong education.
If you could wave a magic wand in North Andover and have the perfect situation regarding some issue or challenge you're having, what would that be?
Yeah,
to correct?
if I could wave a magic wand, I think it would not be a surprise to people who've been following me. I would really like to reduce class size in this district. I think that having classes of 28 kids in third or fourth grade,
Gets
which we
tough.
had right here at Atkinson, does not allow us to meet the individual needs of our kids.
Right. What do we need to do that? Bigger
So
budgets,
what we
more
need
money,
is it's
bigger
complicated, right? So
Everything
first
is,
of
right?
all is I think the kindergarten project is an excellent example of us beginning. We then free up 15 elementary classrooms across the district. The challenge here is it's not even just hiring more teachers. We need the space. All of
Right.
our classrooms, all of our buildings are just actually have so many kids.
Right.
So I think we have to build. I think we need to do some work at our middle school. Our middle school has the largest average class sizes of any school in the district, and we need to do some work to develop some more just the physical space. And then we need to support the hiring of teachers to be able to bring those class sizes down. I just really believe that if we can individualize the instruction more and teachers can have a stronger connection with our kids, it will help everyone.
Sounds good to me. I thought you might have waved a magic wand and said you don't have to decide whether we have a snow day or not, because
Well,
that is like
yeah,
getting crazy in today's day and age,
if
right?
I had made to wave a magic wand, I would put Mr. Gilligan in charge of snow days, because
How do you deal with that? You got one parent who wants it. You got to have school. I got to go to work.
Yeah.
The other one's like, what the hell? We can't have school. They're gonna
I
slip
mean,
and
I
fall.
just have decided I'm always wrong, and I'm not going to sleep. So the hardest part for me is that I get kicked out of. I have to sleep by myself, like my family, my entire family doesn't let me anywhere near them. They prefer I
Right.
was in a hotel.
Right.
Because I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Checking everything.
I'm checking Weather Underground. I never realized that I would go get a PhD in education so I can refresh Weather Underground as much as I do. And
What's it come down to for you to decide? Is there anything? I mean, any one thing? Or?
Well, I think there's one rule that superintendents always go by, which is called the donut rule. If every community around you has called called a snow day, you don't want to be the middle of the donut.
Okay.
Right?
That's safe.
Then,
That's safe.
Then it's like at least
Yeah.
you know you're going down together.
Right.
It's really, really hard. I mean, I would credit the DPW here in North Andover. We spend a lot of time talking about 4 o'clock in the morning
Right.
on snow days. I live 35 miles away, so talk about trying to do something tricky, right? I'm calling snow 35 miles
not
away.
even here, feet on
Not
the
even
ground,
here.
no.
So the DPW does a great job getting out on the roads, but I hate that part of the job. I absolutely hate it.
And she's a brave woman because it's the 21st century, and we were off camera talking about how she's on Twitter having to deal with it, Facebook, the mothers groups, everybody,
Yeah.
all the pressure coming on this woman right here
Yeah.
is amazing.
Well, you know, I think social media is a really great way for me to connect with the kids
Sure.
and the families, and I think people appreciate that I'm very present.
Right.
The challenges are when you're on social media, you open yourself up to criticism, and but that's the nature of the beast. When you lead a large institution,
What
that's
you said to me
happens.
off camera, though, it's a great forum to create a dialogue and
Correct.
to get into conversation, to be able to say, well, let's look at that opinion, let's vet that out. You know?
Right.
But
I loved it. This year I had a few kids tweet back at me some things that I don't think they were proud of, and
Right.
the next day in school I found them and I walked up and said, "Hi, I'm Dr. Price. Is there anything you want to say to me personally?" And I think that's a really good
Ooh,
lesson
how did that
for
go?
kids.
Yeah.
Lots of kids got pretty quiet pretty quickly. I got a lot of apologies. I had some really good conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, I'm an educator. So an opportunity for them to learn is really wonderful. And I would love them to learn with me. It's safe to learn with me. If they say
Yeah.
something to me, you know, I'm an educator. I always believe we all can make
There's an
mistakes and
opportunity to
move
learn
on.
something.
Yeah, and I think for
Yeah.
all of us, when we've made mistakes, those are the times we get to learn.
I think that's a great point, and especially just talks about the topic about how people find it so easy to hide behind a social media
Yeah.
profile, when in actuality it can be found out who you are, and you know some people are not even hiding who they are; they just
Right.
say it. But when you get face to face, it's a different story.
Yeah.
And I think it's always important to realize that there is someone else on the other end reading that, and you know
There definitely
they
is. I read it.
You know, and it's it can hurt sometimes.
And you know, I mean, I think, you know, some would say, why do you do it? But that's the media and the platform that people are using. So should I hide from it or should I
I mean,
embrace it?
love
And
him or hate
that's-
him, the president's doing. I
Yeah.
mean, he's taking it prime time.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
it feels like it's become our national discourse, unfortunately.
Amazing. Well, it's an amazing night here. We've had a great conversation with Superintendent Jennifer Price. We love her. We're so happy she's here with us tonight. Enjoying National Night Out. Jen, you want to say anything to the kids before school begins?
Yeah, hey, what I want to say to all the kids is make sure you are reading. The most important thing you can do this summer is read. Go to Stevens Memorial Library and let's make sure that you're reading. Make sure you sign up for my Superintendent's Summer Challenge, and you might even get a pizza delivered from Stachy's to your classroom. So read.
Awesome. We love statues. Thanks,
All
Jen.
right,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
coming out tonight.
All right.
Because then their pipes are going to get all hot. I don't want to burn your kids.
Can we maybe hear it at the end of
We
it?
could probably hear it later on when I leave.
I want to hear it.
All right, we'll see what you want.
Boom, we are back here at North Andover Night Out. So excited. Ron Carpenito, your host of the Journal, having a great time here with family, friends, our community. It's a beautiful evening. If you haven't gotten down here, you definitely want to come down now. There's food, fun, game, prizes, everything you can think of is down here. Lots of fun, and guess what? It's all free. So who doesn't like that, right?
That's
so
right.
You definitely get down here. Now, a little bit of housekeeping. North Andover Cam, that's what's putting this whole show on right now, wants to tell you about this summer film workshop that's happening August 14th to the 18th, okay? And also the 5th to the 8th. And it's from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. It's a camp, okay? And it's available for members and non-members. So if you want to learn all about making movies and film, all the steps that it takes to go through to put a film together, that's what you're going to do in this workshop. There's also a stop motion Saturdays program that the CAM is running, and that's August 2nd and September 2nd, and that's right at the CAM Studios, which is located inside of the high school. So if you want more information on that, you want to contact Susan Martin at 978-687-6570. Again, that's 978-687-6570. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce you to a great man. He's sitting right next to me. He's a young guy. And, you know, he first came to to North Andover, I think for work probably.
That's right.
He works with Pawtucket Bank, one of our newest banks in the community. I love Pawtucket Bank. They are a wonderful contributor to a lot of different civic organizations in the town.
Very busy in the community.
Very busy in the community. They're the one of the only banks that really gets their foot into community service, right? And that's probably why Zeke, his name is Zeke, by the way, Ezekiel Cruz. Zeke is a member of Rotary, right?
That's
Probably
right.
because maybe Pawtucket encouraged you to do that, or you did it on your own.
They require all their employees to spend a certain amount of time doing community service.
We love that. Yeah.
How you do that, that's your
Up to you,
choice.
right.
But they do require that you do that. It's baked into the
culture.
into the culture,
Right in the
of the
culture.
bank, and so you start to look at yourself and look outside and see what's going on. And one of the things that called me out was the Rotary Club.
Now, we're going to talk about Rotary, but let's talk about
course.
community service real quick. So you're in your 20s, I think we talked about a few
That's
minutes
right.
ago. Do you think that your generation is mindful of community service, or do you think they need to be affiliated with companies like that encourage it? Do you think like people your generation and age would have naturally gone into those clubs?
No.
And that's a challenge, right? Because now you're the
It is,
president, right,
because,
Zeke? And you see.
When I joined the Rotary Club, I was the youngest there. And a lot of people say I'm young, but I would like to think I'm not. I'm reaching 30 real soon, which is young, but I know a lot of people that are younger than me, and they don't even know what the Rotary Club is.
Right.
So I'm out here trying to change that.
Right.
I'm out here trying to,
making a difference.
make a difference.
Everybody's out
put
there
Rotary on the map.
crying and complaining on Facebook.
That's
Zeke's
right.
out here trying to make a
That's
difference.
right.
This is how you make
We're getting
change.
to work.
You get involved, you get busy, you get dirty, you get work.
That's right. You get on the ground.
So tell us, you're getting dirty with Rotary.
That's right.
We love that. Rotary's
That's
a great.
right.
They've been in the community for how long?
Rotary has been in the community far before I was even born. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely.
Much. They're a great community service club. They have a lot of stuff going on right now in the community. We did clean a couple parks last year, so that the community could enjoy it.
Right.
We also do every year a calendar fundraiser.
Let's talk about this.
Where we use local photographers and local pictures of North Andover. So if you love this town, if you live here, even if you don't, I live in Bradford, by the way, and I love strolling through this town.
Yeah,
the
great town.
It's great for you.
We're going to move you to North Andover.
What was that?
We're going to move you to North Andover. We're going to
That's
get you
what
down
I know. I'm going to speak to you.
here. I can help you. I'm in real estate. Right.
I know. I think I got my wife and kids coming, so we got to talk. But
Okay.
Definitely great town.
Yeah.
Beautiful scenery.
Yep.
There's a lot of areas in North Andover that a lot of people may know about, but a lot of people may not. So this calendar really brings those areas out to light.
Right.
It even marks where the picture was taken and who the photographer was.
Beautiful. So this is a fundraiser for Rotary North Andover.
is.
Now it's going to take some time to prepare.
Correct.
And then you hit the road selling it, or
We
how's it
say
work?
maybe around November. We want to have those calendars out and ready. We want to have them at all the local stores as well. If not, we also have them at our local Rotary Club meetings, which we meet every Thursday at around 6:30 at the Bright View in North Andover, the Senior Assisted Living Center, where we discuss what plans we have for the community, what projects we want to focus on, what the bigger goal is and what the smaller goal is, and how many people we have to work with to move forward.
So if you're excited about maybe getting involved in civic service, check that out. Go to a meeting. You're always welcome. But back to that calendar.
Yeah,
I'm in civic service myself. I do a lot of civic programs. I'm in the Exchange Club. You might have heard of Exchange.
Yep, I have.
Exchange Club Behavioral is true to my heart. We focus on child abuse prevention, youth services, and Americanism projects. Rotary's focus a little bit different.
Yep.
So when we raise a ton of money with that calendar, what are you going to do with it? Like, how does it help the community? What do you do?
So we try to put the money right back into the community. We are a service club. Nobody gets paid from the work that we do.
Right.
Unless, of course, we require any professionals to come in and do anything. Of
course,
which,
naturally.
At that point, that's out there publicly.
It's normal.
But we put that money back into the community. We assess the parks that we have in the area. We invest some money into cleaning them. We also try to do some stuff with the polio to end polio. Some of the international Rotary clubs, they actually send a team of people, a team of doctors out there, and they help vaccine people, give the vaccinations out.
Now when Zeke mentions this is their national. Well,
This
this is their international level,
which we
the eradication of polio,
correct. Which we
And
all
you're
have
almost
the right
there.
to, which we all have the right to partake in.
Right, and you're almost there. It's almost fully eradicated.
We are.
But when I think of that goal, I think of the polar plunge or something. Now, do you jump into the ocean in the ice cold water in January? Are you going to do that?
You know, I'm gonna think about doing it.
That?
I've participated in it on a more smaller scale. I'll say, but
the president's got to jump in, Zeke. You got to jump in.
That's what I'm
hearing. You got to go.
So you know what? Look for me this January.
All right.
I'm gonna maybe jump in, maybe get some sort of hypothermia or something.
That's all right.
But that's
it's all for a good cause.
All for a good cause.
Awesome.
We'll be there.
Awesome. Well, it was great meeting you tonight here again.
Thank you for having me.
Getting you on the station. And again, if you want to check out Rotary, Zeke, you meet at the Bright View Assisted Center. And that's right on the Turnpike Street, on going down towards Middleton, right?
Yep. So you pass Bright View on your way to Middleton. Yep. It's an assisted living place. We meet. The place is beautiful. We meet in kind of like their dinner area, where they dine, their dining area. And, come have a good time, see what the club is up to, see where you can help if you'd like to get involved. Right. We're always looking for people.
Is there a website, Zeke, too, they can go check out right now, maybe on the computer?
There is. You can go to rotary.com, rotaryclub.com. North Andover has its own link.
Excellent. All right, Zeke, thanks so much. National Night Out.
Thank you so
Good
much,
seeing you, man.
Ron. Thank you.
You get the booth over here right next to the station.
We're trying. We're working. We're trying.
You're working it. Well, you got to get down here. You got to come down. You got to see Zeke.
Come down here.
Come on down, see Zeke, learn more, get something to eat. Sal's Pizza's here, Stashy's is here. Right. Everybody's here handing out great stuff.
Not to mention Pentucket Bank, too, is here.
Pentucket Bank is here, too. Great bank.
Right.
And Brian, our own Brian from CAM is a Rotarian, so we love Rotary. North Andover CAM, Ron Carpenito. I'm hosting the Journal, and I'm hosting here tonight at National Night Out. Definitely come on down. Would love to see you. Thanks. What's happening, North Andover? We are back here at National Night Out. You know what? It's our 9th year here. Been doing this since 2008. So excited to be with you. And I'm here with one of the key people that put this whole event on for us here in our community. Happy to have him. It's our Chief, Charles Gray. Hi, Chief.
How are you?
How you doing?
Excellent. How are you?
What a great night. Now, how did you order this weather? That's what I want to know.
This is the 9th year, like you said, in all 9 years, with the exception of 1 year where it kind of got a little cloudy.
Right.
And a little bit of lightning. This has been perfect weather for 9 years in a row. So
how did you work that?
I don't know, but
we're just getting lucky here.
Yeah, we are getting lucky. It's been good though. It's another great night, a great turnout.
Absolutely.
Tons of merchants here. We got tons of police, fire, and emergency response personnel.
How do you organize it? How did you get all this together?
It's a team effort.
It's a team effort.
There's a team effort involved with people getting, whether it's securing food through Market Basket, made an incredible donation for.
Thank you, Market Basket.
Yep. Whether it's obviously getting the merchants on board. It's coordinating the fire, police, tow trucks. Trombley Brothers are Cody's that come by and put on their stuff for display. Other agencies, you can see the state police, the Essex County Sheriff's Department, the environmental police are here. All residents of North Andover that come by and participate with us and really show the town what fellow residents are doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's so critical to our community to have nights like this.
Yeah.
Because it gets us out here to be together. Get your butt down here. We're going to be here till 8. Plenty of time to go.
Great time.
Lots of free food, free fun, games, activities, contests. You can put it all together.
You
now,
can come down
how many
here.
years you been on this committee doing this?
I've been doing it since we started in 2008.
How's it evolved for you? Have you seen change? You've seen more participation?
More participation and more, and Mr. Finkawaya, more participation and more, it's grown every year to the point where you see where it is now. Yeah. But more importantly, you can tell, the viewers here, what better way to rack the steps on your Fitbit than come down here and just walk around and see everything going on.
I love it.
Yeah.
We got the track, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not now?
Good time.
We have so many good times happening here tonight, but there's also some challenges happening in the community.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Opioids.
So you can see one of the displays
like
over here is the In Plain Sight, which the police department puts on, and it basically teaches parents, educates them on, watching their kids, whether it's their room, their living, conditions, what's going on, and seeing how subtle things that you may not think is a big deal is actually a big deal. And that's our tie-in here, because you see a lot of health and wellness out here, a lot of merchants and gyms and whatnot. But the biggest thing is we're focusing on that aspect because that's what we think is one of our biggest concerns right now.
Right. I think a lot of our viewers and just people in general wish they could wave a magic wand and this whole thing would just go away.
We all do.
We all wish that would happen. It's a much more complicated issue than that.
Right.
You're involved with it every day.
Right.
What needs to happen? What we need to be doing to make this reduced or get better, or
one of the things I've seen happen.
Effect.
Yep, it's a multifaceted effect. Yeah. One of the things is education to the youth. And I'm not talking about the youth in high school. I'm talking below grades, middle school, elementary school. Education is key.
It's a shame we have to even talk about that.
Right.
But go ahead.
And then also, if someone, I mean, no one chooses to become an addict. Some people, you know, they go to serve overseas in the military.
Sure.
And get sick and get hooked on opiates. They get surgeries and stuff like that. But the fact is that if someone does become an addict, we have to be able to help. And the help is not locking them up and you know,
throwing away the key.
Right. It's you have to help and finding ways to treat and ways to help. But also it's a matter of, you know, getting them to realize that they need to make the decision too to say, I don't want to do this stuff anymore. We North Andover, we see a lot of the secondary crimes related to this opioid epidemic, which is, you know, your larcenies, break-ins,
yep.
your car breaks, your shopliftings and whatnot. So in North Andover, our focus is, you know, we're dealing with the secondary crimes. Next door in the city is one of their focuses is the primary crimes, is the drug, street dealing and whatnot.
Right.
So we work hand in hand with communities like Lawrence and really get our officers involved in both sides of the fence. And it's helping, I think, tremendously. And it's showing that the police department is being proactive and really asserting ourselves as this is something we want to focus on.
Yeah, I'm concerned about that. Being in real estate, I don't know if you know, I do a lot of real
Yep,
estate
of
stuff.
course.
Having open houses and, you know, people coming in, we're opening up people's homes
Yep.
to anybody to come in.
Yep.
Not a good idea, I don't think, but.
It's a necessary evil because that's the business.
Right.
But what we have to do is we have to make sure that people know if they're coming into an open house in North Andover, the police are going to be vigilant in
Right.
finding if there was a crime committed.
Right.
We're going to do our best to make sure we solve that crime. And if it means someone has to answer for it, they have to answer for it.
Right. Generally speaking, though, great town, safe town.
Absolutely.
I mean, what's our biggest concern? Probably just the opiate issue.
Yeah,
or,
and
which is
you know,
a huge issue. But
the biggest thing in this town is anyone that lives here will tell you it's really a community-based town, and it's really just everyone here. If you walk around here, you're going to bump into people you know, whether you see them at the
Right.
grocery store
Right.
or you see them on Main Street, and you can talk to people. It's really down to earth, and you know something, I couldn't find a better place to live. I really couldn't.
no, I agree. That's why we live here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, it's summertime. It's hot out. You always want to talk about the
this
dogs
is
in the cars.
The biggest
It's
thing
a
we're
big
getting
thing.
is the dogs in the cars. People need to know that I did a thing for Cam like 2 years ago
Yeah,
with that.
yeah, we got
But,
that.
you can't leave the dogs in the cars, and we get called at least once a day, whether it's the North Andover Mall, whether it's Starbucks, whether it's Dunkin' Donuts on Main Street. Someone's locking their door and leaving the dog in there with the window down like 5 inches, saying, "Oh, that's good enough." It's not. It heats up like that, and
Right.
the dog is. We had our animal control officer down at the mall last week with 2 dogs that were suffering. We actually had to open the door and get the dogs out. So, you know, it's.
So people need to understand that if you get called for a dog in a vehicle, you are going to open up that door. You're
If
going
the dog's in distress, we have to.
you're going to break a window.
Yeah. We'll open the door. Usually
You'll open the door.
We'll open the door. If the window's down 5 inches, we can reach in and open the door.
And you can open it up.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. But don't keep them in the car.
Right.
Take them in the store if you
Right.
can, or whatever.
Right.
That might be a good improvement for businesses, having a place to leash a dog outside, maybe, or something.
Yeah, until
You know,
somebody gets an accidental bite or something, and then you.
It's always something. Right? Always
Right.
something.
Right.
All right. Awesome stuff. So, great job tonight. Great
Thanks.
turnout.
Thanks. A team effort. Like I said, team effort.
Please keep it up.
We're going to. Next year's Big Ten.
Big Ten. What are we going to do for the Big Ten? Anything
We'll
special?
think about it. Let's put it out there. We'll start
Maybe
getting some
fireworks?
ideas.
Maybe some fireworks?
Maybe.
End of the
I
night?
don't know if the fire department will go for that.
Well, it ends at 8, so it's not
That's true.
dark enough.
That's true. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But tell the viewers to get some ideas for us, and we'll do something for number 10.
All right, you heard it right here. We need some ideas for the 10th anniversary of our National Night Out with our chief right here, Chief Gray. Now, where do you want them to send those ideas? Right to you at the police
Right to
department?
us at the police station. Yep.
All right, so just call the police department. or
Email
give
the
us
Crime Watch email.
What's the email? Do you know
It's crimewatch at NAPD. Crimewatch at NAPD.us.
it? Crimewatch at NAPD.us. Get some ideas for our 10th anniversary
Send them
National Night Out. We want to hear from it. All right, thanks, Chief.
Awesome.
Good
Thank you.
seeing you, man. All right,
Thank you.
enjoy the night.
You too.
Thanks. Well, good evening, North Andover. We are back here at the North Andover National Night Out here on, where are we? We're at the Hayes Stadium. That's right, we're at the stadium. We're having a great time. I'm getting punchy now. I am getting punchy. We have Rep. DiZoglio here with us tonight. We're so happy to see you. Hi, Deanna.
Hello.
How are you
how's it
today?
going?
It's going great. What a great night for the community.
It is.
It's a great mix.
It's a
the police
beautiful
have come
night,
out. Yeah.
and it's warm, but it's cool at the same time. It's just warm
Yeah.
enough, but there's a nice cool breeze coming in.
The sun
which
has
you didn't
finally
have-
gone down.
You didn't have earlier, which I felt bad for all of you standing up here earlier.
I don't know if
but
our viewers know, but I've been looking directly into the sun as I interview all these people tonight. So I feel burned. Do I look burned?
So I'll give you a pass. I'll do all the talking. Don't worry about it.
That's
You
perfect.
Just chug your water bottle the whole time.
All right, I like it. She's taking charge here. We were talking off camera a little bit what it means to have the police, working together with community, to do some community policing and working to bring events like this to the community to get everybody out and connected. Talk a little bit about that.
So what you see behind us right now is really a truly amazing thing that the North Andover Police Department is doing in coordination with your local officials here in North Andover,
right,
with Town Manager Mailer and with the Board of Selectmen, School Committee, everybody. Superintendent Price is here, North Andover Community Television is here, and a lot of your local businesses are here. And what's so cool about that is that you have your firefighters here, your police officers here, you have your public safety department here, but then you also have your public education community here. You also have your local government here, and
everyone's
your
here.
Local business community here.
And I'm here and you're
but
here.
But then you have all of the children in the community
right.
and all of the parents. And that's what's so cool about today is that, you say, the phrase community policing.
Right.
I think what we have here is a true example of what community policing is. This is an opportunity for the North Andover Police Department and the North Andover Fire Department to engage with kids in the community, to engage with parents in the community, and to show that their job is to serve and protect.
Right.
And it's an opportunity for the kids and the parents in the community to engage back with the police officers to introduce themselves.
I like it because it's a chance for our community to bond, right? We're coming out here, we're getting off the Facebook, we're getting off the phone, right? And we're out here having a good time. Kids are playing on the field, right? Families are talking, friends are getting together, they're reminiscing, they're talking, seeing each other, right? People from all generations and ages are here, right?
All generations and ages.
We need to do more of this.
The seniors from the senior center that I usually do office hours with about like once a month. I've seen a ton of them here, but I've also seen a lot of the third graders from the local elementary schools that I invite to come out to the State House annually.
Oh, cool.
And they're all interacting with each other.
Nice.
And they're all talking about life and eating ice cream together and socializing. So it really is, tonight's one of the best nights of the year actually in North Andover.
I know we were talking
off camera. Sheep shearing comes close, but I think that this is my favorite because
cow pie bingo. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's great.
We were talking off camera about what it takes to be a rep and how challenging her career can be. But this has to be one of the better parts of what you do. Like you must go to so many events. But then that's probably the better part of what you do, right? Because you've got a lot of issues you got to deal with, right?
Absolutely. So, during the week, if you follow government, state government, because I know all of us have so much time to do that, right?
Of course, right? We want to.
But, right, you're just reading the newspaper all day long.
Right.
But, in state government, a lot of it is in-office work, responding to emails, drafting legislation, redrafting legislation for the 7th or 8th time.
Right.
Going to committee hearings, which is great. You get to advocate on behalf of your community, responding to phone calls. I pick up the phone and it could be an issue as simple as a pothole on somebody's street that just needs to, have a phone call and go into the DPW, or it could be a major issue like a healthcare crisis for a senior citizen in the community. So, you get those phone calls and there's a lot of work that goes into the behind the scenes aspect of the position. But certainly tonight, you get to come out, you get to engage, you get to have the more casual conversations, and you get to see the community happy and engaging. And it does give an opportunity, though, for me to connect with people that otherwise I would never see. Would never see.
How many constituents do you think you have that you kind of represent?
So roughly I have about 43,000 people that live in the district that I represent. And I represent portions of, obviously, North Andover, Methuen, Lawrence, and Haverhill. So
that must weigh on your shoulders at night sometimes, thinking about 43,000 people, right?
It's challenging at times, it's challenging, but when you hit the challenging times, you think about the great opportunity that you have to actually make a difference in, like I said, the person that calls you that needs assistance with their health care or something. And you think about those times that you made somebody happy, or that you filled the pothole, or that you passed a piece of legislation that was really important to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, or that you got funding to come back to a local project or to the schools or to our public safety department.
Yeah, makes you feel good.
And that keeps you going all the time.
Now you in your 5th year now? Is it your 5th year?
Yep.
So that's kind of like, I guess, over the hump. And now in any career, a 5-year plateau usually means you're in and you're going to be keeping it going, and you're in for the long haul. Do you feel that way? Are you going to be going on in this career path?
So right now, I'm happy to be here doing the work of the people. And what I will say is, you would think at year 5, you've been in for a while, you've learned the position, you're getting stuff done, and that's certainly true. You are able to be more effective the longer that you've been in, but especially in this role, because when you look at some of the people that have been in for longer, I know that earlier we were talking about Chairman Brian Dempsey.
Right, Dempsey.
In the city of Haverhill. And he was in for 26 years.
That's a long time. Well, he started when he was 1. So, you know,
he started when he was 1, yeah.
He looks
so
26.
Basically,
Yeah, basically.
So,
right.
so, you know, he represented Haverhill. He started as a city councilor, and everyone was like, oh, this young kid, when he was running. And then he ran for state representative, won that seat. And, you know, when he started off, and we actually had these conversations, you know, he's like, you know, you're just starting out, and when I started out, I was in the basement, and, you know, I was a freshman, and I finally started
working your way up.
You know, exactly. You know, getting
exciting.
to know my colleagues and understand the process and everything. So, but you know, he was in for 26 years. So when I look around, it's actually, I mean, a lot of the people that I work with, Ron, have been in for 20, 25, 30 or more years
and that
in
can
the
be
House
good and
of
bad,
Representatives.
actually. That can actually
there
be,
are positives
go,
and negatives to both, depending on, you know, who the seat, you know, is filled by and what their community believes.
What's interesting for you, though, is 5 years in, you're probably one of the first reps that have come in the age of social media and social networking, right? Like your campaign is probably a lot based on social media and, you know, fan pages and things like that. Whereas like Dempsey, when he started, it was more door-to-door and personal, probably newspaper, right?
Yeah.
So do you think that makes it easier for you with the social media or harder for you? Do you think you have different challenges than they had? And
so I'll say one good thing and one bad thing about it, right? So we can get like a good perspective of it. So the great thing about it is that I can stay in constant contact with my constituents, with the voters in the community, and with people who need assistance. The bad thing is I love talking to my constituents all day long, all night long. So my friends and family are like, turn your phone off. And I'm like, I'm doing the work of the people. I need to respond to this message.
So you don't shut off.
So yeah, but I've been getting better at it. You know, at dinner time, the phone goes away. I enjoy my nice Italian dish or my Greek dish. And we have a good time, we have family time. And then, you know, I can, you know, wake up in the morning and start it all over again.
You know, they say if you don't rest, you can't go hard. So
exactly.
So you have to be able to rest.
Exactly.
Definitely have that time. So good.
Yeah.
What have you been working on down in Capitol Hill there?
So right
Beacon
now,
Hill.
actually,
Beacon Hill. I call it Capitol Hill like you're in Washington.
So, well, first and foremost, we just actually wrapped up the state budget, and North Andover actually was a big part of that. Obviously, Methuen, Lawrence, Haverhill, the community I represent, the communities I represent. In particular, what's relevant tonight is actually that we increased local aid coming back to our local municipalities like North Andover. We increased funds coming back to our cities and towns by about $40 million in the House budget, and hi, and it's a very small community here. Everybody knows each other. I love it. So we increased funding to local aid by about $40 million, and why that's important is because that is funding that's going to go back to our fire departments and to our police departments. And what that's going to do is it's going to help with things like education and training initiatives to make sure that we're doing things like this, and to make sure that, you know, if there's something that needs to be addressed within the police department, it's being addressed. If they need new equipment, they can get new equipment. If the firefighters have an issue with one of their trucks, you know, we certainly want to make sure that the trucks are in good working condition so that they're able to go if there's a fire in the community and they're able to help people in the community. Things get run down, things need constant, you know, assistance in that department. So we added to local aid, so that money is going to go straight back to the community, to the local community.
Excellent.
It's going to go right back to our public safety departments. So that's one of the things that we just did recently that I'm very happy about. Also, one of the bills that I've been working on recently has been a domestic violence bill.
Tell us about it.
And I actually started working on this bill. There was one death in particular in the Merrimack Valley that really struck a chord with me, which was a domestic violence incident in which the young lady ended up actually being murdered by her significant other. And then after that, this was about a year ago, after that, it was like a trickle effect. Like we just saw domestic violence incident, men and women, after domestic violence incident, after domestic violence incident, sexual assault after sexual assault. So that one in particular, though, and then the ones following that.
Like a snowball effect.
It was like a snowball effect, exactly. That really, you know, triggered something in me to go and talk more to local advocates in the community who work with domestic violence and sexual assault. You know, with our police departments, but also with groups like the YWCA, We have local organizations like Delamano Inc., which works based out of Lawrence, but they work with the whole Merrimack Valley and especially the greater Lawrence area with domestic violence victims. And other local organizations that work with rape victims, for example. So went out, talked to them, and we're always in constant communication with the advocates and families locally, but this time it was like, okay, we really need to sit down because this is something that's just, it keeps happening.
Right,
and
we got to take care of
what
this.
can we do?
Yeah.
What can we do? I mean, obviously we're not going to have a one-size-fits-all approach. I don't think any one of us, an elected official or an advocate in the community or a victim or their family, has the overarching answer to or the answer to cover the overarching problem of domestic violence and sexual assault.
It's complicated.
It's a very complicated issue. It's a very deep issue. So there are a lot of different nuances as to why people come forward, why they don't come forward, and whatnot. But what I can say is that after talking with our local advocates and with our police departments, what was said is, a lot of times people who are victims of domestic violence and sexual assault actually fear coming forward because they feel like if they come forward, there are going to be repercussions. Whether their abuser is going to, punish them for coming forward. They wonder whether or not they're going to be able to be kept safe by the local police departments. They wonder if, they're actually serious about leaving.
Yeah,
and
where
also,
are they going to go?
Right, and also there are a lot of financial concerns. If somebody's not financially independent, what are they going to do? If somebody's been relying on, their husband or their wife for the finances and to live and to put food on the table every day, and they've been in, for example, a marriage or relationship for, 15 or 16 years, they have a couple of kids and they're being abused.
It's complicated.
How are they going to escape that situation?
Yeah.
So what I discussed with these groups was, okay, what are some avenues, just some avenues that we can think of? And again, it's not the overall solution to everything, but what are some additional tools we can add to the toolbox to help in making people feel a little bit more comfortable in talking about things or feel like they're in a safe environment? A lot of people won't go to a police station because they're afraid of what's going to happen. They won't tell a teacher or anybody that's a mandated reporter because they're fearful of the consequences.
Also because they're embarrassed.
Right.
Or they feel they've done something.
Right.
They take the blame for it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So what this bill does is this bill is actually based off of a bill that was passed in Illinois. It was just passed in 2016 and went into effect this year.
Okay.
And the legislation would essentially allow for beauty professionals such as hairdressers, estheticians, nail technicians, manicurists, barbers and barbershops to go through just a 1-hour training that would teach them how to interact with somebody who comes to them that they see signs of domestic violence with or sexual assault with.
How to recognize it.
How to recognize the signs. And if they do recognize the signs, how to interact with that person. Because they're not mandated reporters, they're not a police officer, they're not a doctor, they're not a teacher. They're just somebody in the community that they happen to know that might be able to offer some assistance. So we've heard that, when somebody's comfortable, and I've heard this from the groups, from the advocacy groups, when somebody's comfortable talking to somebody, they're more likely to open up.
Right.
So when you think about, and let's think about in the community, let's think about North Andover, let's think about Lawrence, for example. I represent the city of Lawrence. When I drive through Lawrence and I look into a barbershop locally, I mean, there are like about 10 to 20 guys hanging out in the barbershop, all talking for a couple of hours at a time. It's a hangout spot. When I look into a salon, there are about 10 ladies hanging out in there, getting their hair done, getting their nails done, doing whatever it is that they need to do. And it's like it's a social day. It's a couple of hours of, being social and interacting with each other. So you form bonds with these people.
Right.
And those bonds are bonds that you consider to be safe bonds, where you're not scared of maybe, talking about something or expressing your viewpoint or maybe coming forward about something. Also, a lot of abusers will actually allow their victim to, they might not allow them to go to, maybe community events like this, but they'll allow them to go and get their hair done, or get their nails done, and then come straight home. So after talking to a lot of the different organizations about it, and looking at the legislation that was passed in Illinois, we thought it was just one more tool we could add to the toolbox by just saying, hey, let's not mandate that the business be responsible for anything with this. So salons and salon professionals wouldn't have any responsibility with this. But let's give them a tool that they can use. If you're a hairdresser, you're a lot more likely to see a bruise on somebody's head. Or if you're, an esthetician, you might be able to, recognize marks on somebody's skin that other people might not be able to recognize.
Right, good point.
Right, so giving them the tools, and if they do recognize the symptoms, giving them a list of emergency numbers and what to do, how to offer advice to the victim, and again, just one more tool in the toolbox. So that's
incredible. I mean,
that's
great
something
job
that we've
on
been.
that.
Thank you. Well,
Really?
we still have a long way to go, and hopefully
Yeah.
getting it passed. But
I would add to
one more
that.
tool.
I'm a realtor, right? Realtors, you should tap the realtor organization for things like this too, or consider us to be some eyes and ears for you with abuse, because I go into many multifamily homes in different communities and see different things, and that I know I've made some calls, like, hey, I want to check this out, giving us some training on how to recognize child abuse or some type of abuse, or people living in squalor, they need help, right? Because we do tour homes all the time. We're in houses. So consider thinking along these lines when you might need help with other groups of people that could help your cause or what you're doing. So.
And I'm happy to sit down with you and other realtors and the Realtors Association in Massachusetts. I mean, they're always coming in to
Association of
advocate
Realtors.
for stuff.
Give us some trainings on what to look for. That's a great thing to do, because you know how many? There's like 30,000 realtors in Massachusetts that are in homes all the time that would love to help. I think so. All right, we're getting kind of heavy here tonight, but we're going to bring it up again because we're here at National Night Out. It's this fun night, family night. Get down here. Deanna DiZoglio, one of our reps from our community here. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me
Yeah, it's
here.
so good
And
to
once
see
again,
you.
just want to make sure, thank you to North Andover CAM.
Yes.
And thank you to the North Andover Police Department, first and foremost, the Fire Department, and North Andover Public Schools.
Yeah.
And the town of North Andover, obviously, for all that they do here and just making this a great event.
great night.
That not only people from North Andover come out to, but also people in the entire Merrimack Valley are here tonight. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll see you again. She's always at our events.
I'm
right?
always around.
Absolutely. All right, thank you. Wouldn't you know it, we're back again here at National Night Out. So happy to be here. I'm Ron, your host tonight from the Journal, North Andover CAM, and I'm here with we're saving the best for last, Senator Bruce Tarr, one of our great senators here from the town of North Andover. Bruce, how you doing?
Good. How are you tonight,
Good
Ron?
to see you.
It's great to see you. And
Absolutely.
aren't we so lucky to be at this incredible event on such a beautiful night?
We're definitely blessed to be here in North Andover, a beautiful community.
Absolutely.
And how long have you been a senator in town?
Well, I've been a senator since 1995. Got elected in the election of 1994.
Incredible. So you've seen a lot in our community as
I
time
sure
has
have.
gone on. You've been a big part of it.
Absolutely, and been very honored to be part of it and to represent it. And North Andover, like other places, has been changing.
Right.
Experiencing some of the similar things that other communities across the state are going through.
Sure.
But we've seen major changes with things like Lucent Technologies and change in that
yeah.
property and different approaches to housing.
that's come a long way.
It surely has.
Yeah.
I mean, for a while we all were wondering how we're
What's
going to
gonna
get
happen there?
make sure that stayed viable. The town stepped up to the plate.
Right.
The owners of it stepped up to the plate, the Goldsteins, and they've done a great job.
Yeah, the town's doing great right now.
Yeah,
And
the town's doing really well.
A night like tonight, you can't think that anything's wrong here, right? I mean, everything's beautiful.
I have to tell you, I was in town on Sunday because our veteran service officer, Jerry McGuire,
Love Jerry.
He does a great job.
Yes, he does.
And he did a wonderful ceremony for the parents of one of our deceased veterans, young lady,
Okay.
who had graduated from North Andover High School not all that long ago, went into the service of our country in the Navy, and unfortunately lost her life in the service of our country.
Sorry to hear that.
But was here, and what a moving thing to remember that family. And it was a young woman named Trask. It was just an incredibly moving ceremony. Her parents are dedicated to helping other veterans and raise awareness. And it was a typically great day in North Andover. I walked out, saw that there was a restaurant, had a big sign up downtown under new management, and it was called Luigi's. I stopped in, got to meet the owners.
Beautiful.
Had a wonderful time there, and they've done a great job. It was great to meet them. So a lot of great
Check
things
out
are
Luigi's.
happening
We got to
in-
support local business, right?
You got it.
Where is it again? Where is it?
It's right downtown,
Okay,
right
cool.
in the same plaza where the Chowder Company is, and right across from
Okay,
Town
yeah,
Hall,
yeah,
essentially.
okay, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, I know where it is, yeah.
So it's a great
Let's
spot.
check that out.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful.
Yes.
Awesome. So now, obviously, we've had a bunch of different reps up on the stage, and we always ask them, what are they working on lately? What's happening up down on Beacon Hill, and what's your focus? And you and I kind of talked a little bit about the major challenges, the opioid crisis going on, but you're actually working on a potential bill that might take it one step further to stop the people who are bringing this problem to us.
Well,
Talk about
absolutely,
that. Yeah.
and I'm working on a number of different aspects of it, as most of my colleagues are, because we realize that this still is a public health epidemic, and we have to approach it from different angles.
Yes.
But one of the angles that I'm trying to approach it from is to stop the people who are trafficking opiates and bringing them into our communities and causing incalculable hardship and tragedy for families all across the state.
Because it doesn't just affect the person who's using the drug, it affects the families, everything around it.
It definitely does.
It's a ripple effect.
And we're getting to the point where there's almost no person that hasn't been affected by this in one way or another.
Right.
And that is the true meaning of an epidemic, and that's why we have to try to do the best we can to address it. And I'll just take you back for a minute. And a couple years ago, we did one of our first bills on the subject, and we were trying to open up access to care and trying to make sure that someone, when they reached that golden moment where they decided to get treatment, that they would have a minimum of 14 days inpatient treatment so that it would be effective.
Right.
They wouldn't just come through the door,
And
get
leave the next day.
detoxified, and leave.
Yeah.
That was a good bill. We did it. Now we're actually working on trying to extend that potentially even longer. But in the middle, we actually started to look at some of the other causes that result in addiction, and one of them is the availability of opiates, the availability of pills.
Right, the availability is so easy now.
Exactly.
Right.
So one of the things we did collectively in a bipartisan way in the House and the Senate was to say that we're going to limit the number of pills you can get on your first prescription. One of my amendments was that your doctor has to have a consultation with you and discuss how many pills are right for you before they
Everyone's
write the
different.
script, so that we don't have a ton of these things floating around. These are important steps. What we're going to try to do next on the treatment side is work on subacute care. So when someone gets detoxified and begins their treatment, they need to go someplace else to continue that spectrum of treatment. And we've been hearing too often that those subacute beds aren't available, so people wind up having a recidivist activity with regard to an addiction and wind up coming back to the primary care bed, the very first line of defense. And so there aren't enough of those available. So we've got to find a way that folks can go through a whole spectrum of treatment, make sure they do it right.
Sounds intense. Yeah.
But what you and I were talking about
this
is something
this is a good idea.
a little bit different. And that is trying to say that there are people who are trafficking in drugs who are causing death, and they ought to be, under the right circumstances, charged with murder. And whether that be first-degree murder or second-degree or manslaughter, there ought to be something in the statutes that says if you're selling drugs and you have a reasonable belief, or should have a reasonable belief, that it's going to cause harm, then you should be, if it causes serious bodily injury, there should be a specific additional penalty for that, maybe 10 or 15 years. But if it causes death, you ought to be amenable to a charge of murder. So we're trying to move that along through the legislative process.
It makes one wonder why that hasn't already been passed years ago, or is there a counterpoint to that makes sense? Like if we do it for that, then it's going to have to happen.
Well, you know,
with other forms of commerce or trade.
There's certainly other points of view out there, and there would be some that say, well, the person that took the drugs wasn't forced to take the drugs, so it wasn't a forcible act. But you know, I would argue that it's reasonably foreseeable that if you're a drug trafficker and you sell drugs to someone that you know has an addiction, that you're going to cause their death or serious injury. So I think
because they're not necessarily in control of their facilities to make a good decision.
Exactly.
It's almost like, you know, doing something under the influence of alcohol.
Sure.
You know, you can't give consent if you're under the influence.
Right.
In those, like maybe in a rape situation, right?
Exactly.
I was drunk. You know, I say you can't give proper consent. So if you're an addict, you are not necessarily knowing what you're doing.
And that's what I'm saying. We have to qualify this, so it can't be for everybody. But our prosecutors need this tool. Our police departments need this tool. And again, we have great folks in those areas in this state, and particularly in our region. I want to be able to give them that tool, knowing that they will use it judiciously and in the right circumstances. But I also want to send a message loud and clear that if you are selling drugs, if you are trafficking, if you are causing that harm in our neighborhoods, in our communities, then you should pay the highest penalty possible.
Right. No, I agree. And how far along are you with
well,
this?
the bill
right now?
just had its public hearing before the Judiciary Committee about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
How long does it take for this to kind of, something like this, let's say it was a go, green light, everyone supported it. How long would it take for something like this to go from where you are to completion and get it
Well, you know, it's a great question, Ron. It is deliberately a slow process, so that we try to minimize mistakes. We try to make sure people reflect on things. The soonest something I've ever seen passed was in a matter of a couple of days, but the longest I've seen has been 7 or 8 years, maybe 10 years. So there's a wide spectrum of time that the legislative process can take. I'm very persistent. I'm very committed.
You've been
so
around
we're
for a
going
long
to continue
time.
to pursue this,
Right.
and we'll do it for as long as it takes. And I oftentimes cite the example of Melissa's Law, where we had Melissa, particularly her father. I'm trying to think of recall his name. Les Gossel said after his daughter was horrendously murdered by someone who had a very long record, criminal record, that shouldn't have been out in the streets to murder Melissa. He said, I'm going to make a change to that law. It took us 13 years to do it.
Wow.
But we got it done.
Got it done.
And
Persistence
basically
pays.
what the law says is if you are a repeat offender, if you have 3 serious violent felonies, then you're not going to be eligible to be paroled.
Is that the 3-strike rule or something
It's
like that?
often
Right?
called
Something
that.
like that?
Yeah,
Right.
we try to maybe use
Right.
other terminology because that has to be 3 violent felonies.
Right, not
These
just
are the
3
worst of the
felonies,
worst,
right.
not just everybody that commits 3 crimes.
Interesting. We were talking a little bit off camera about the process of the legislature and how a lot of people aren't knowledgeable about what it takes to do what he does and to get a bill passed and through. We also talked about titles and terms because you're the
Minority leader.
A
right?
minority leader. What does that mean? Most general people don't know what that means.
Well, you're right.
you
You're
know.
right. Well, and
Talk a little bit about it.
people
Just a
are
little bit
busy.
about
and
what's mean.
Oftentimes
Yeah.
they don't have the time to be able to get into these things, but we
Right.
try to encourage them to do it. And in a way, Ron, we live in a time when there's never been more information readily available than there is today.
Right.
You mentioned that you had been on the website, the
Right.
Mass Legislative website,
Right.
and you
To
were
learn
able
what
to
the
find
whip
out
was,
about that.
right?
Exactly.
Right,
So
'cause-
you can find those things out.
Yeah.
We encourage people to do that. And
Yeah.
I'm actually, just as a side note, tried to move a piece of legislation last week, got some amendments adopted to make sure that schools tell us what they're doing to teach our kids civics and what they're doing to teach them U.S. history. There are already those requirements of the law, but we're not sure that every school is doing it. So we're trying to get some more information about that.
Right, right.
But to answer your question about what the minority leader does, I'm elected by my caucus, by the Republican caucus.
Right, which is the minority
It is
right
the
now.
minority, to lead our efforts. So I develop an agenda. I interface with the majority party leadership. Lead floor debate, make committee assignments, do a whole host of things. It's basically the management of the Senate Republican caucus, and I
Right.
enjoy it very, very much.
Sounds great. And there's also other terms for different types of people out
Absolutely.
there, right? That
Absolutely.
are like, funny, like the whip, right? What is the whip? What does the whip do, right? Nobody knows what that is. Right?
So which also relates to another term, which is called whipping the vote,
Okay.
which sounds like it could be an act of violence, but it really isn't. It just means that the whip historically speaks to the members of a caucus. So in my case, our whips speak to the members of the Republican caucus and
Right.
say, here's how leadership would like you to vote, and try to get people
drumming up votes.
in line. Exactly.
right.
Now, when I was the whip, not all that long ago, of the Senate Republican caucus, I actually tried to expand that role and tried to build coalitions with the majority party. And that's something that I don't think we see enough in
Right.
Washington. We certainly have worked very hard at it at the State House, and I think there you will see a much different climate and scenario. So when I was a minority whip, before I was minority leader, tried to not only get people to vote in a particular way in my caucus, but to build coalitions that were bipartisan to get people to vote for bills that were something that everybody should support.
Sounds like picking the right whip's important.
It's
Someone
very
who has to have
important.
huge influence, someone that can definitely get people to see different points of view.
Yeah.
Very critical.
Well, absolutely. And
Yeah.
like other things in politics, building coalitions are important.
Right.
And being able to do that the right way and respecting the other person's point of view.
Do you see a lot of that happening, or is there a breakdown going on?
Well,
Because
I
when
think-
I watch the news, forgive me, when I watch TV or anything, all I see is one side versus the other now. I don't
Absolutely.
see any more bridge building. And I feel we elected our people to go up there and work together to come to a solution. It doesn't have to be a perfect solution. It has to have a solution, though, or some type of progress made. Too often now we see, the votes going right along party lines, and if you're in the minority, things aren't going to happen.
I totally agree with you.
not right.
But I would suggest to you that if you look at the track record at the State House, particularly with Governor Baker,
Yep.
you will see there's a lot of bipartisan work being done. Example is this past week the
I
governor.
think maybe I'm talking more on national
Well,
level.
nationally,
National
and
level,
but that's what I'm trying to do is draw that contrast.
Okay,
That
good,
many of
okay.
us, including myself, work very hard at the state level to have working partnerships, to be able to work on issues. We don't always agree. You shouldn't expect us always to agree.
Right.
What you should expect us to do is find a way forward.
Right.
And the example I was going to cite is the governor just signed a bill that provides protections for pregnant workers in Massachusetts. That was a very bipartisan effort. He was very enthusiastic about signing it. Contrast that with what's happening in Washington, and you see that sharp partisan divides that are causing
terrible.
paralysis and causing people to lose hope and to lose trust and to lose faith. And that has to be changed. And I would call your attention to the remarks that John McCain made when he came back after surgery to remove a cancerous, I believe it was a tumor, came back to the floor of the Senate and said, we've got to change things. And he's right. And I hope everyone will pay attention to what he said, not only in the Congress, but also everywhere else.
Well, I hope they're all listening to us here tonight. I don't know if they all are, but we're reaching some people. Bruce, it's been great seeing you tonight.
Same here.
Thanks for
Great
coming
to
out.
see you. Thanks for having me.
We closed the place down, I think. We're having so much fun up here, we closed the place down.
You said I was going to be the last one, and I think literally you and I are going to be the last
last
people
one's here.
here.
We're going to shut the lights off. We saved the best for last. Bruce Tarr, our senator here in North Andover. Well, I'm Ron Carpenito. It was a great time tonight at the National Night Out. Hope you all had a great time. Hope you made it down here. If not, we'll see you at the 10th anniversary of this event next year. Chief Gray promises it's going to be fantastic. So we'll see you next year. Thanks so much.